Hey everybody, good morning. It's Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You with the session 3 of the Agave Knit-Along. So if you are joining me live, if you've been following along, then we are at the place where we will be joining the shoulders. So tell me in the comments where you are on your agave sweater. I would love to tell you that I had finished mine and that I was really far ahead, but the truth is I haven't had nearly as much time to knit as I would like. So I'm sad about that, but we will get it done. Anyway, it's been great to be in Seattle. We've been having such a good time. I just took our son Colton to the airport because he had to leave to get back to school this afternoon. So anyway, it's all good. So what I thought I would do today, since we're going to be joining the shoulders, this is our session where we join the shoulders. And rather than try to show you on this very fuzzy yarn, which is challenging enough to see your stitches on, it's very challenging when you go to seam the garment. So I have a video that I want to run for you. Those of you who are in Club Crazy for You know that this is part of our flawless finishing product, the class that shows you how to finish sweaters from start to finish. From start to finish, finishing them. Anyway, so this is about seaming the shoulder. And before we get started, one of the first things I want to say about seaming is that if you are seaming it properly, you are not going to see the yarn that you used to seam the garment. So before you choose what yarn you're going to use to seam, don't just automatically seam the garment with the yarn that you knit with. The yarn that you're going to seam your fabric with needs to be strong because you're going to be pulling it as you zip those stitches together, and it needs to be smooth so that it doesn't catch at all in the other stitches when you are trying to seam those pieces together. So you want to choose a yarn that's strong and smooth. If you have one that's similar in color to the fabric that you're seaming, that's great. If it's finer than the yarn that you use to knit the garment, that's great too. You don't want to choose a yarn that's thicker though. So choose a yarn that's smooth, strong, and maybe a little bit finer than the yarn that you use to seam your garment. So clearly you're not going to be seaming with your Tweed Haze, okay? Anyway, all right, so let me go ahead and run this. I hope that you'll be able to hear this sound. So tell me in the comments when I run this if you cannot hear the sound, okay? All right, so this. Let me do this, I think. Yes. Okay. Okay, can you hear the sound? Tell me in the comments if you can hear the sound, because I want to make sure that you can hear it. So if you're watching, tell me if you can hear the sound. I'm not playing it now. I just played it a little bit, and I know that there's a little bit of a lag. Maybe I'll make it so that there is no sound, and I'll just... Comment? Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and play this. Okay. So it sounds like you can't hear the sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and play this without sound, and I'm going to narrate it for you as if I am doing it like right here. Okay, so hang on just a quick second. Okay, so let me just start this over. All right. All right, so what we want to do is we want to put our fabric together so we have a near side and a far side. And to begin, we're looking for the selvage stitch on the edge. And we want to bring our needle on the near side piece of fabric up through the center of that selvage stitch from back to front. See how we're putting the needle into the fabric from back to front? And then we're going to do the same thing on the far side fabric. We're looking for that selvage stitch, and we're going to put our needle through the fabric, through that selvage stitch from back to front. And this is just the way that we set things up in order to seam the fabric. So now that the yarn is in place, we're going to put our needle through the center of the stitch where the yarn came out on the far side, on the near side, and up through the center of the stitch right next to it. Okay, so we're going down through the center of the stitch and up through the center of the next stitch and pull that through. And then we're going to come across to the far side, and we're looking for what looks like a whole stitch. We're going to put our needle through the place where the yarn is coming out and coming up underneath that V. Okay, on the far side. Do you see how that looks like a whole stitch? It's not actually. It's the middle of one stitch and the middle of the next stitch. But because our fabric is oriented this way, it looks like a V. So we're coming up there. We're going to take our needle through that and bring it through, bring the yarn through. And then we're just going to go back and forth. So now we're on the near side again, and we're going to put our needle through the center of the stitch where the yarn is coming out and up through the center of the stitch right next to it. Okay, and then we're just going to continue along with the near side and the far side. Back and forth, coming back to our near side through the center and up through the next. I show it on this fabric because it's much easier to see the stitches when you have a smooth fabric than it is to demonstrate on the Tweed Haze. But we are just alternating back and forth with our right side spacing. And once you have about an inch of fabric, just pull on both sides of the yarn to tighten those stitches. And you'll see what happens is that they join in a perfect column. It looks like the stitches are continuous from one piece of fabric to the next. Okay, so I like to zip it about every inch. And then when it's time to go back after you've zipped it, just open it up a little bit so that you can see where to put your needle for the next stitch. And you just continue back and forth. And it will be more challenging to see on the Tweed Haze, absolutely 100%. But if you open the fabric up and look for those, the legs of the stitch on either side, you will be able to see where you are. Remember, you are going underneath the bind off. You're not trying to take any of the bound off stitches that are lying horizontally. You're looking to work with the vertical stitches. So does that make sense at all? Tell me in the comments if it helps you. And also tell me where you are in your project. If you are at the place where you're going to be joining your shoulders yet. I know many of you are already finished with your pieces and have seamed it. I know Jal, I don't know if Jal is here today, but I know that she has finished hers. Okay, Denise is asking me what yarn I will use to join. I haven't decided yet. I will probably find some kind of smooth sock yarn. Remember that when you are looking to seam something, you want to make sure that it's finer, that it's smooth, and that it's strong. So if you have some cotton yarn lying around, that's always a nice option. If you have some sock yarn, that's usually good and sturdy and nice and fine. We don't want to add any bulk to the seam. We want to go ahead and use something, like I said, that's a little finer, that's going to slip neatly through this fuzzy yarn and make our stitches nice, make our seam fine and sturdy. Okay. And you are just going all the way across. This is a lot of seaming. This is the entire top of the sleeve and shoulder seam at the same time, but they're all done the same way. This is what you call a stitch to stitch seam. All right. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on the underneath side of your seam. That's exactly this same process, this stitch to stitch seam that you're doing at the top here, and then you're going to be doing at the bottom. I know I made a mistake when I did the thumbnail for the next session. I mentioned seaming the sides, but we're not seaming the sides. So once this these shoulder and arm seams are complete, we are done. And all we have to do is weave in the ends. And then next week, we'll just show Georgia what a great job we've done. How are you guys doing on yours? Tell me in the chat. Let's see, Denise. 10 inches into the front panel. Yeah. So it does take a bit of time to knit these things, right? We always think we have more time to do them and that our knitting is going to go more quickly than it actually does. At least mine does anyway. So did anybody have any questions about that seam or anything that I can help you with? This might be a very quick little live today. So both of you I know are in the membership, and you know where to find this. This is in the Flawless Finishing section, and it is on the joining the shoulders. So you can go back and watch that as many times as you like, and you can watch this here. If you are not part of that, you can see this portion of the that class here on this live. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, I am going to go ahead and sign off. So thank you guys for joining me. It's lovely to see you, and we will see you next week. I'm probably not going to be finished, but I'm going to be working like the devil to get both pieces done so that I can show Georgia a finished garment. Yes. Yes. Colleen says, have a ways to go. Yes, I know. It's okay. It's not a rush, and it's not a race. All right. Good, Polly. Glad to hear. All right. Okay, ladies, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.